You don't. There's a special carve-out for distinguished merit and ability for models. What's another visa?
Well, this is your O1B is another
exactly,
option.
Exactly, an O1B.
And of course,
sure.
they are performing. I mean, of course, they're not performing, then these are the two options.
Right.
But if they're performing, the P3 can be considered also.
Right,
now, we know
visa,
that recently, yeah, we cannot tell names of all the people. Rishi Kapoor, of course, is since he a close friend, and I can mention his name anywhere or put in the papers or any place. We have very, very big company. Some of the top Bollywood companies, the actors that on the top, I don't know their names again. Almost every single actor, big actor, has been in one way or the other, directly or indirectly, our client.
So you're actually instrumental, Michael, in being able to assist agents here in the United States who are working with Bollywood folks to bring shootings to the United States where there could be a group of 100, maybe 200 people, right? You're able to help
I had a group of actually, for performance, the biggest group was about 130, 140 people that came with a big actor called Amitabh Bachchan, and their whole big group came in. And there's no problem at all. I know. And the shooting groups also lost anywhere between 50, 60 to maybe about 100 people. So that's what happened.
And there are very special issues that deal with Bollywood and with performing artists and performers because, for example, let's say you had a performer who's an underage performer, a juvenile performer, then obviously that person has to be accompanied by their guardians.
Yes.
And so there are very special issues which come up in the Bollywood context where we have to make sure that obviously they're given the appropriate guidance to be able to get the visas that they need.
See, in shootings, there's one person at least called O1, which is extraordinary ability.
Right.
And the rest of the people could be supporting him. And then they come under O2. Correct. But we have to explain, there are 80 people group coming in, the ones that we are doing right now, for example, big movie, 85 people, group people. Right. For each person, we have to give a detailed description and convince that his presence is essential. Right. For example, they say makeup person, you then say why? I say because the person has started already doing the makeup in the first part, and whatever the shooting takes place in US also needs the same makeup. Hairstylist, same problem. There's a language issues there. There's essentiality issues there. The continuity issues there. Many issues are there that you need really a lot of experience in order to convince the unions first.
The unions, that's very big. Tell us a little bit about the unions.
Unions, there are so many unions, every different union, directors union, actors union, producers union, and you have to figure out.
But what do we do as lawyers? What is our role with those unions to help our clients? What do we do?
Well, the unions, so far, there's different way that the P's are done and the O's are done.
Correct.
The O1 or O2 visas, the union has to be convinced that, although under the law, there's no requirement that to show that there are no US workers available, but practically they look at that. Practically, they don't say that. They say, why do you have to bring that? Why do you have to bring that? Why do you have to bring an assistant? Why do you have to bring a makeup person? Why do you bring the bodyguard? New things happening. Right. Some of the actors, they want to always a bodyguard to come with them. Right. Some people want their assistant. The female actress is top. She wants just a lady that will take her clothes out and put her and dress her and all. Right. So every person plays an important role. Right. And our position is that for the success of the production, we need this. We need that. Because I tell you, at one time there was a big actor, I cannot tell names, one of the top actors that is today. And the consul refused, the immigration refused at that time. That personal assistant is not required. Why the personal assistant they have to bring? A personal assistant, a bodyguard and this and that. He said, I'm not going to come to US. I don't want to come without my bodyguard. We somehow we managed it, got him, then he was happy.
Right.
So essentiality is an issue. In the P groups, we have to show they are culturally unique.
Correct.
So there are different aspects.
Right. And the next part, the next component, I guess, of the visa application, after you have the visa approved in the United States, is then you have to send them to the U.S. consulate in India, and you have to choose an appropriate consulate where the timing is going to go correctly, and then, of course, to get those visas
and deal with some issues at the consulate. So anyway, we're running out of time, and thank you very much, David, and thank you all of you for watching the program, and goodbye.
can bang
Every day
out-
people ask these questions, and it's important, to explain why
Okay.
it's true, it's false, and why.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, rock and roll. Lock and load. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, it's better.
Hello viewers, welcome to our program on Immigration and You. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani, and once again we have with us attorney David Nachman.
Hi, Michael.
Now
Good to be
David
here
just
today.
told me before we decided what we're going to do, he said, I have an important topic that we should talk about. I said, fine, David. So what is the topic for today?
Okay, so today's topic, Michael, is going to be what we call myths. And what is a myth?
Yeah,
Well,
what's a myth?
A myth. A myth is something which everybody hears, and because you hear it from maybe friends or relatives or someone out there, maybe some information on the internet, you think it's true, but it may not necessarily be the case. So that's a myth. What is a myth? Here, a perfect myth, before we get into some of the myths that we want to discuss on the immigration side, is that doing immigration is easy. That's a myth. Doing immigration is not easy, because I guess if it were easy, I wouldn't have a job.
It is
So,
very complex.
it's
The
very,
fact is
very complex.
Very, very complex. So you need some assistance
Many
from a
issues.
person who's well versed, very well knowledgeable, who can understand a situation, guide you, assist you, help you in taking you from this. Whenever I say that, people, they listen, when they talk about this subject, I say the journey starts here and it ends here.
Right.
So it's like a river. A lawyer is like a person who's in a boat, and he wants to tell you, sit in my boat. So that lawyer should be able to bring that boat and bring you up to this point, and not let you in between and say, this disappears. That's it. You are in the middle of the river, bye. I can't help you anymore.
Right.
So that's very, very important, the point you just raised.
Always look for the boat with a lot of life preservers. Right?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
that's the key.
A lot of experience. In other words, our...
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Lots of experience. But why don't we go through a couple of myths? The first myth is as follows. I can go to the consulate website and apply for a visitor's visa, pay the fees after appearing for an interview at the consulate, and get a 10-year multiple entry visa.
Not true. The answer is not true. And before I give the answer, unfortunately, I have seen a lot of applicants think that, oh, I'm a good businessman, I'm a professional, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I am this, I am that. Why would the consul deny me? I just take my passport, pay the fees, and go and tell him, give me the visa. And he'll go say, thank you very much, sir, here's your visa. Is that really happens? Of course not.
No.
Why so? Why so? Because our immigration law has certain requirements. There are some processes, there are some procedures. The law says you can apply for anything you want. It could be a visitor visa, it could be a student visa, it could be a J1 exchange visitor visa. And some of these categories have a section of law, section 214B of the Immigration Act. So under this law, the consul presumes you are going there, he presumes that you have an intention to immigrate, settle in US, you will not come back.
Correct.
So the consul says,
Immigrant
okay,
intent.
tell me, prove to me that you are going to come back after the purpose for which you are going. If you are going to go for a visit, you are going to come back after you finish week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, whatever you are saying.
Right.
If you are going for a study, that after completion of the study you are going to come back, prove to me. Now, it's not that easy also, we understand. Then he opens, oh my God, I just thought I'm going to tell him a question like you asked this question. I paid the fees, I'm here, your passport, why don't you stand? Why are you asking me these questions? He's asking you because the law says he should ask you.
Correct.
And we satisfied.
Right.
That's why. So therefore, what happens in many cases, the consul wants to see what are the compelling ties that this person has, social, economic, or other the other ties.
Religious.
Religious,
Ties
little
to
bit,
a
but
religious
mostly,
community at home.
Mostly, yeah, sure. Basically, elderly people,
Yeah,
they
of
are
course.
very actively involved in religious activities. Politicians and people that are involved in politics, a big businessman, he's not going to stay and sell newspapers or work in a motel in the United States.
Right.
He's going to come back.
Right.
So, in terms of ties, they call it ties, family ties, social ties,
Right.
economic ties. What is C? C does not mean the papers. We talked about this before many times. That American consuls do not want to look at the papers, but they want to be convinced.
Right.
And if they are not convinced, then they deny the visa and the person is very frustrated.
Right.
Also, let me say one more. There are also situations where the consul is not simply denying. Sometimes he needs more documents that he can deny temporarily under section 221G.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
in a student they say, but bring the I-20 is not correct. Or bring some evidence of how you are going to arrange the money.
Right.
Or you can reapply again because they are not satisfied at that time. They are giving you one more chance that you bring this or bring that information or bring the copy of your citizen passport of the brother. He's a citizen, green card holder, or is illegally in the US. So that is a temporary kind of denial, except some cases where they won't tell you the reason. Security clearance, name
Right.
check, it hits a name that's supposed to be like a terrorist. So they will not issue the visa, do the fingerprints, 10 fingerprints, and send it to FBI for clearance. So they have to wait until the clearance comes. So these are some of the reasons that I said that answer is not correct. You walk in and get a stamp.
Exactly. That's that. Unfortunately, it just doesn't happen magically. And one of the things I'd like to add to what Michael is saying is that, and when we were in India visiting the consulate offices, it was pretty clear that they used the word articulation. And they use the word articulation in the context of how you as an applicant should respond to the questions when the consulate officer asks those questions. So prepare yourself to be able to answer the questions of the officer almost reflexively. That's the way it should be done. Michael, I'd also like to get into another thing. I'd like to come back to the 221G and the 214B issues. And I'd like to, because we received, especially this week, for some reason, many, many calls from individuals who had been denied visas at the consulate. We obviously had no interaction with those individuals prior to their going to the consulate. They went to the consulate, made their applications, the case was denied. What can be done to overcome a 214B denial? What can be done to overcome a 221G denial at the U.S. consulate in India?
See, 214B, I have to be honest, that if you get a first denial, the American consul is less likely to overturn that and issue the visa. Consul's first thing is, why are you coming again? We denied, we look at what you said, papers and all that. Even they didn't look, they say. You came in and we talked and we made a decision. What's new? What's new? So the most important thing for a 214B is, some people say, sorry sir, first time when I came in, I wasn't ready, I didn't bring the papers, and I was told, for example, that to come back again, reapply and bring in, so this time I'm fully prepared, I know all the information that will help you to make an appropriate decision. Make the consul somehow get involved in looking at, okay, so let me say no what this time.
So Michael, what you're saying is that the legal standard that would apply in the context of overcoming a denial for a 214B or a 221G is what we call, quote unquote, changed circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, changed circumstances or something that was not available in the first interview for whatever reasons.
Or information that was not available in the first interview.
And then you realize that I was not fully prepared, I didn't have the right document or the information, and that's why what this happened. So consul has to be convinced that he has got some change in the circumstances, something new that he could not produce the last time, but he's now willing to. And it could happen more often in let's say, student visa cases, 214B cases. Visitors is very hard though. But what circumstance, they want to apply again after 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 month. What's the change in circumstance in 1 month? What's new? Of course, I mean, we had cases where it was clearly a mistake, clearly a wrong decision. So the officer concerned did not understand that. But you never say. I would say, you go and apply again, say, I don't deny it because the consul did not understand. I mean, obviously, they're not going to take that in a very good, light.
Right, right.
So that's the thing. You must have something to convince the consul that the decision to deny was made upon incorrect information that I might have provided, or the documents, or there's a new change. Maybe he got a lottery last week, $14 million.
Right. And all of a sudden there's something to draw them back.
Maybe he was single at that time. Now after 6 months down, he got married. After 2 years, he's applying. He says, I am married, I have a child, I have a big job. He was just working as a clerk in a company. Now he's working as CEO in a company.
Right.
It's a big change in terms of finances, money, family, everything. So that's what is needed.
I'm just thinking to myself, how many rupees? That is $14 million. That's quite a number of rupees.
Multiply by 50.
Yeah, it's quite a
Multiply by
bit.
50.
Exactly.
So,
It's amazing.
so this is what happens in that. But other cases, for example, H-1Bs. H-1Bs, I mean, there are more questions maybe coming later from our viewers.
Yeah, but let's talk about that within the context of 214B.
Within the 214B,
right?
it doesn't apply.
That's
They do
right.
not deny. Generally, they do not. Generally, there have been some isolated incidents where they have done under 214B on H1, and when our meeting the consul, one consul says, no, it's not right to apply 214B. Other consul says, yes, it could be a situation which warrants that he is not eligible. Right. So we, without going into the details, we just say 214B.
Right.
But technically not. But 221G are very frequent on H1s, H4s, both. And there, I will say, if you're coming to you or coming to me, the client who is denied under 221G, first of all, I want to sit with the client. Give me the whole story. When you go in for interview,
Tell us all the documents you showed.
when you went for
Tell us
interview,
what you said.
what documents you gave, what you said, what question the consul asked you, what you answered. Let me see what petition mentions, what employer said, where you are going to work, your salary and other issues. Mostly a good lawyer, by going into that depth, he can make an analysis and try to figure out what the problem is.
As an aside, I just want to say to our viewers with regard to what Michael is saying, it's critical for me as a lawyer when I get a call from you, one of our viewers, a potential client, if you write down immediately after you visit the consulate exactly what happened. The problem is that over time, memories fade, and you're not going to remember exactly what happened. You're not going to remember exactly the chronology of your discussion. So it's very important for you to take copious notes immediately if you're thinking about engaging a lawyer, so that you can provide that transcript to a lawyer so that we can go through it and look at it and say, okay, this is what happened, and so we'll have a good sense of that. Is that good advice, Michael?
That is very good advice. That is correct. I'm saying we have seen this all the time, that the person who went for interview, H1B or L1, nervous. Consul is asking a clear question, he's not able to articulate. Right. Articulate is, the important word that is, and could explain. Confidence, with the confidence, yes, I'm going to work here, yes, how I got the job, I met him someplace or whatever it is, truthfully. And the consul is then convinced, when you are answering the questions correctly and properly, he's convinced just by the interview, forget the papers. And if he's not, then he's looking more into papers also and raising issues, a wrong location, a wrong degree, or wrong something.
Right.
And then they could do two things, one of the two things. In some cases, they will give you a list of documents that, okay, bring this is a laundry list, we call it. In some cases, we say nothing, administrative processing, which means under 221G, they are keeping a denial until they make their own verification, either from a university about the education or from the employer where he said I worked, something like that.
Right. So I guess all in all, what we're saying is it's very, very important to clearly articulate exactly what the petition was about, and to be able to lay it out in a clear and concise manner for the consular officer.
Let us go to the next myth.
Yes, the next myth. I am applying for a visitor's visa at the American consulate in India. I'm working in a company for many years. I own a substantial amount of property and financially well off. I will take all these documents and a visa will be granted to me without any question.
Not true. Again, you may be whoever you say you are. Consul doesn't know that. Consul wants to be satisfied. Again, we discussed about this in the previous question, more or less, that the consul wants to see whether this person has got compelling ties to come back. That's always a concern of the consul. Why is he going? What's the purpose? And is that the right time? He's going in the month of January and he wants to do something which doesn't happen in January. So this is not going to work unless you really are able to convince and articulate the purpose of your going. You're going on a business trip, B1 visa. You say, I'm going to negotiate some deal, or I'm going to buy some machinery. So council want to ask, what kind of machinery?
Right. Be specific
Yeah.
about what exactly the machinery is. Be specific.
So you ask the question, what kind of machinery? Why you want to buy from US? Why not other country? How much is going to cost?
Exactly.
Question
What is the transaction? Who is it with?
And the guy really doesn't know anything, because the person who prepared him, he said, you just tell him that I'll buy a machinery. That's it. The council is not attend more question about the machinery, about the amount, about how long you'll take, who are the companies you're going to visit in connection with buying. And he doesn't answer, because then the council knows.
Because it's off the script.
Yeah, so
I know,
council
so,
says,
yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, goodbye. But they always say that, and people say, but listen, you are just to get rid of him in a nice way. But you're always welcome to apply again
Correct.
and pay another $160. But
Correct.
what happens? You know what happens then, second time, third time.
Exactly. Well, it's the next myth.
Next
I
minute.
applied for the U.S. visitor's visa.
David, today we are running out of time.
Okay, next myth next week.
next week. And thank you very much for coming on the program again, and thank all of you for watching the program. Keep watching us. You can see how important, how good these questions and myths are. And we have a lot of myths that we have developed based upon the questions coming from people. And we probably next 3, 4 or more programs will continue to do on the myths. And every myth is important. Every answer is very important and valuable. Thank you very much, and goodbye.